Guys, if you want to see the next generation of Cleveland Cavaliers, make sure you head out to Public Hall this weekend as the Cleveland Charge have 2 home games against the Greensboro Swarm. They have giveaways on both days. It is Special Olympics night on Saturday, February 7th at 7 against the Swarm. The Charge are partnering with Special Olympics and taking the court in polar plunge themed jerseys, and the first 1,500 fans receive a special Charge blanket. Tickets are on sale right now at clevelandcharge.com. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in the Athletics' Mike Jones to the show to talk a little football. How you doing today, Mike? Appreciate you joining UCSS.
I'm doing well. How you guys doing this morning?
Good. That looks like a Marriott, Mike. You at the Super Bowl?
I am at the Super Bowl. They put us in a Hilton this year, so I'm not getting my Marriott points.
Oh, how dare they?
And he careless knows, those Marriott points are gold, but we're in a Hilton. It's nice enough. But yeah, I am over here a couple blocks away from the convention center.
I know it's early in the week, and we'll get to many things that are Browns related, but as long as you're out there, what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be a good game, but obviously both teams are compelling. I've got some questions about the Patriots' offense. Drake May, he's really struggled with turnovers. Not turnovers, with sacks. Throughout the postseason, I think it's 5 sacks a game. Their offense does not have the same rhythm and the flow that we saw during the regular season. Even that game against Denver, his biggest plays were with his legs. Now the weather had a little bit something to do with that game, but even before that, just has not seen him as explosive, that offense. And look at the Seahawks; they're clicking on all cylinders: offense, defense, special teams. They really look like they are going to be a handful.
Mike, one of the things that I want to talk about before we move off the Super Bowl is this notion. I think I've stated on the show that for the last couple of years, it feels to me like we've moved out of the offensive era. And I know that there are some numbers that prove that we really haven't, that points per game aren't down dramatically. Big plays are down dramatically in the NFL. But when it comes specifically to defensive powers versus offensive powers, I want to read this stat and get your thoughts on it and see if you think we are moving to this point where we could be, the Ravens did it, the Bears back in the 80s. Number 1 scoring defense, and this is points allowed, versus the number 1 and number 2 offenses in points scored in Super Bowls. They've faced 9 times in the Super Bowl there's been that matchup. The defense is 8-1 in those matchups. So in other words, you're going behemoth offense against against the top defense. It felt like we'd moved out of that era and that we were offense and quarterbacks is how you win championships. And I guess this will be another test case. To me, this Seattle defense is ranked number 1. This Patriots offense is ranked number 2 in points scored. How do you see that battle shaping out? And do you think that we are moving into an era where defense definitely has more to say in the outcomes than it had in the last decade?
Yeah, well, I think that even last Super Bowl, the Chiefs, when you think of them, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, great offense, and the Eagles' defense really got after them and really dictated the flow of that game. Obviously, their offense, capitalized. The Eagles' offense capitalized a lot, but the defense really was disruptive. And we're seeing it, again, those defenses, if you can get after the quarterback, you can really change the complexion and really move them off of their spots. It's very hard if that defense is able to get after you and they pinpoint the weaknesses in your line. And, it's hard for an offense to compensate, because if you fall behind, then you got to throw. But if you can't throw because your quarterback's running for his life. So it is fascinating. And you knew it was a matter of time. These defensive coordinators are smart. They spend the whole offseason studying and dissecting and picking out these offenses and their weaknesses and how to attack them. And I think some of that's why we've seen, for a little while, it looked like the running back was starting to become irrelevant. Now we've seen teams with strong run games. They do well because you have to be able to attack a defense in multiple ways. But if you have a tough defensive front, you're against the run, against the pass, and you've got a good secondary like Seattle has here, it's hard to attack that and hard to really capitalize on anything. So it's going to be intriguing. The Patriots defense also has done well this postseason, and so we'll see what they can cook up. But Sam Darnold has gone against some really tough defenses on this march to the Super Bowl, and he's found ways to respond and make plays.
Mike, kind of pivoting to the Browns, we went through the coaching search, and I'm not gonna lie, when at first they said, who's the least most likely guy and who would you be upset if the Browns chose as their next head coach? I said Todd Monken. And when they hired Monken, it was like people were a little upset. So I went back and I took a look at it, some of the stuff at Georgia, went back and took a look at a lot of the stuff he did with the Ravens and how he spoke, and people spoke of him and what he really was about. And as I started to get to know some of his philosophies on development, some of his ideas about what he wants to see with quarterback play and guys that are going to be playmakers, I started to like more and more the option of Todd Monken being a veteran with some experience over some of the hot shot or young guns who didn't have the experience. What are your thoughts on Todd Monken, and are you surprised that the Browns went that way?
I was surprised that went that way. When you had some of the younger guys pull out of the running for that job, I thought they was going to go to Jim Schwartz. And so then when it didn't and it was Todd Monken, it was a little surprising because he's not what you look for, what these owners have been looking for. Like you said, the young, hotshot offensive wizards. But the thing that I do like is he's been around for a while. He's not just one of these guys that you're hoping the magic of Sean McVay rubs off on him and he's going to bring it here. He's coached in a number of different places, different systems, different players. So he's seen a lot. Is it the sexy pick? No. But I have to think that his wisdom and knowledge and experience has to be a factor. It's going to be, come into play and help because you've got, questions at that quarterback position. You've got some young offensive pieces, and you got to figure out how to position them for success. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the defense. They've got talent there. Losing Jim Schwartz is going to be huge. But I don't think it's as awful. Yes, like I said, it's not sexy, but I don't think it's an awful hire. Surprising, but not awful.
You said that pretty definitively, losing Jim Schwartz. So I'm just wondering, you think it's a done deal that he's gone, or you think there's any chance he comes back?
I mean, maybe. It doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of optimism, but I mean, I guess anything could happen.
With you. I'm just wondering. Yeah.
But I have not heard anything to suggest that it sounds like that there's a feeling that he'll come back there. Obviously, nothing is done, until the door is slammed, but it doesn't seem like it.
What about the contract issue, though? I mean, we're running out of landing spots for him in terms of DC jobs, and if he goes somewhere, he's got to go somewhere where it's an improvement. It's a job title. It's got to be more than defensive coordinator.
Right. No. And when, like you said, a lot of these jobs are starting to fill up. I guess it depends on how disappointed is he. Is he really just wanting out of there, wanting a change? Is he willing to? Is it a situation where he'll be like, "Hey, I will, not coach this year," and then But I don't know. There's a lot up in the air. Obviously, quality head coach. I'm surprised that he didn't get more interest. Or head coaching position here with some of these openings that we had. But this whole coaching cycle was just weird. So who knows?
What do you mean by that?
It was weird.
About the coaching cycle?
Yeah,
it was weird? We see John Harbaugh out, and then they replace him with Jesse Minter, which is you're hoping that, he's kind of from the Harbaugh tree, but he's not a proven upgrade. He's not even a proven long track record as defensive coordinator. It made sense for the Giants to go get Harbaugh because you need somebody with credibility and experience. I felt like the Steelers made a very complacent, safe hire. I don't feel like they did something that is really going to help elevate that team. I don't understand why Brian Flores did not get a job, why Vance Joseph did not get a job. When you're looking at some of these hires, I mean, Mike LaFleur really struggled as a play caller with the Jets. And Then he goes to the Rams with Sean McVay, where Sean McVay runs the show there. And then you think that he's going to be a good head coach. I really have questions about some of these hires here. Joe Brady was another hire that didn't make a lot of sense to me. You had a really strong track record with Sean McDermott, and this was not a huge upgrade. It was, I would have thought that maybe Brian Daboll would have been, because of his relationship with Josh Allen, I wouldn't have loved it, but it still would have been something where I think he had more success as an offense coordinator. Joe Brady hasn't shown me a whole lot. Their offense, kind of underachieved if Josh Allen was not Superman. So a lot of these hires just kind of, head scratchers, and, we'll see how they play out, but probably going to be some short leashes for some of them because that's the way these owners are these days.
Yeah, the triumvirate of the Bills, Steelers, and Ravens. They let go 3 coaches that have got a long track record of success. And when you look at the 3 that are out and the 3 that replace them,
the McCarthy thing,
you can't squint and make it look like these are great upgrades.
Mike, just McCarthy and Monken in the same division. It's such a shift in where teams were headed with a lot of their hirings. The pendulum swung. Now it's just 2 guys, but the pendulum went all the way to the old guy. Yeah, I don't know. It's just odd. I agree with you. It was odd.
Yeah, definitely.
Mike, you got something?
Well, I saw Mike doing some research for tomorrow. I'm also Mike, by the way. So what's up, Mike?
Sorry.
In doing some research for today, I saw you had tweeted something out about the lack of minority hires in this cycle, Mike. And we had a long discussion here in Cleveland about the Browns and the Rooney Rule requirements and how when Mike McDaniel dropped out, they were in a position to hire Grant Udinski on Friday had they wanted to because they hadn't met the Rooney Rule requirements. And I was kind of fascinated by the thread you put out there in how the Rooney Rule has good intentions, but it's not necessarily working. I was curious if you could elaborate on that for a little bit for us.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of frustration I think I've heard more from assistant head coaches of color this hiring cycle unprompted than in the past. Because I would reach out to a lot of these guys, but I've had a lot of guys who reach out to me frustrated just about what's going on, whether between the head coaching hires, offensive coordinator hires, where they have been told, hey, you need more time. You haven't worked with quarterbacks. You haven't had a play calling experience. We've seen some of these guys either get head coaching jobs that don't have a lot of experience, or have offensive coordinator jobs who have 2 years of coaching experience and never were play callers. And so the goalposts keep moving. And so the Rooney Rule, yes, these teams checked them off and got the Rooney Rule hires, but it's just checking a box, and it's not really looking and evaluating, because you can't tell me that Brian Flores is not a better defensive coordinator and better potential head coach than Jeff Hafley. I mean, I'm sorry. And is Vance Joseph? I know he was in Denver and did not have success. They also did not have a quarterback, and their roster has been upgraded. Vance Joseph isn't a better option than Mike LaFleur. So there's a lot of frustrations, and we felt it seemed like the NFL didn't seem, but they took number of steps backwards. You had 10 openings. And you had one minority, which is Robert Saleh, who has said that he doesn't like to be considered a minority. And so it's just something I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but it still is surprising given how much the NFL has tried to put in these programs in place to strengthen the pipeline. But obviously owners just really don't care.
Flores is a name that we all liked early on for the Browns opening. Now he runs a little bit different of a defense than what they have been running here in terms of 3-4 versus 4-3. He was actually the runner-up to Schwartz when they hired Jim to be the defensive coordinator here, because they felt like Jim's system fit Miles a little bit better than Brian's does. But do you think that the lawsuit he brought against the NFL is still hurting him in terms of head coach? Because I didn't think that would hurt him in Cleveland, because Jimmy don't care. If you can help,
right.
Jimmy will hire you. He didn't care. But that's sort of the exception. But do you just think that still – is that going to follow him his entire career and prevent him from ever getting another head coaching job?
I don't know, because I felt like the Rooneys – I thought that in Pittsburgh that they wouldn't have cared, because he had that suit going on when Tomlin went to the Rooneys and said he wanted to hire him, and they said bring him on without hesitation. Yeah. So they supposedly had interest. So I thought that there were going to be enough people who kind of just don't care. Steve Bisciotti, I thought maybe that was a possibility. The Raiders, I mean, Al Davis, that seemed like that would have made sense. I mean, they have a track record of always being at odds with the league.
True.
So I thought that I thought there would be enough people who didn't care as much. I mean, look, this guy has won Super Bowls with the Patriots. He's had really good defenses. If you want a strong leader, a culture changer, he checked so many of those boxes. But I guess those the interviews that they had were just to check off the Rooney box, and not sincere interest.
Let's talk a little bit about the Harbaugh attempt to get Monken to come there and be his coordinator. Not surprising. I mean, he's worked with him. He definitely wanted to continue working with him. There was, I don't know if it was your reporting, it may have been, that came out that basically said that, or John said, look, I called him, I talked to him, I tried to talk him out of going to Cleveland, but in the end, he's here. What do you make of that? I mean, obviously, Kevin Stefanski's reassembling his old staff down in Atlanta. Coaches go with who they feel comfortable with. Is it generally looked at as what's it look like around the league that Monken had a chance to go and be the OC in New York, where he's got some nice pieces, but instead said no and came to Cleveland for his first shot as a head coach in the NFL?
Well, I mean, I think you just said it right there. You don't get a lot of these opportunities. We're talking about guys who, have been assistants for a long time and waiting for that head coaching opportunity, and sometimes it never comes. And so I'm not surprised at all that Monken took this opportunity. Now, is it the most win-ready job? No, but neither were the Giants. And so again, he's not the youngest guy, and he probably felt like, what, this is my shot. I've got to take this right here. It's not surprising at all that Harbaugh wanted to bring him. A lot of these guys want to coach with people they're comfortable with. I mean, just even look at Kyle Shanahan hiring Raheem Morris, who he has worked with in Tampa and Washington and in Atlanta, and now he's his defensive coordinator in San Francisco, just like Raheem worked with Sean McVay in Tampa and Washington, then he came to LA. So guys want to find people they're familiar with, and so that wasn't very surprising. But again, there are only 32 of these jobs in the whole world. And so if a team wants to hire you as a head coach, Monken taking the Browns job, I understood why he did.
Mike, really quickly, what do you make of the Browns quarterback situation? Obviously, there was the clip that went around where Todd Monken said, hey, we wanted to hire you or we wanted to draft you in Baltimore. Shedeur Sanders obviously is on the roster, but they do have Deshaun Watson as well, Dylan Gabriel. What do you make of the roster? The general manager has come out and said, hey, we like some things Shedeur did, but we're going to look at every opportunity to take a look at our room in general. What do you think about the Browns quarterback situation, and what do you think Todd Monken believes and thinks about the Browns quarterback situation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that he obviously finds it intriguing and liked what he has to work with there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken it. And I don't know this, but if the Browns are saying, hey, these are our quarterbacks, then he had to have been on board with that. Now they could possibly look for other options, but he has some intriguing pieces to work with there. I mean, you have Deshaun Watson. Okay, he's struggled to stay healthy. Never seemed like he was super comfortable with Kevin Stefanski. You have Sanders, who, obviously there was a lot of scrutiny of the way he was handled and the way he was developed by Stefanski, and it kind of, was confusing at times. So it's not like he's going there where the cupboard's totally bare. I think there is many questions there, as there are, maybe more questions than answers. But he has something to work with, and we saw he's got creativity. We saw what he was able to Lamar Jackson there in Baltimore. That he's going to try to run the football. We've seen him build an offense where it capitalizes on a quarterback's mobility. Even though Lamar, in the last couple of years has stayed in the pocket more than being like a run first quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously they got some work they have to do to upgrade the line and some of the skill positions, but it's an interesting quarterback room there with Watson, who at one point looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league and has not been able to get right, and then Sanders and Gabriel, who have something to offer, but you're just not sure if they actually have all of what it takes.
I'm going to ask one last question. I know this is going to be tough and probably unfair, but and I know you're not in the business of crystal balls and figuring this out. But if you had to say who the starting quarterback is for the Cleveland Browns amongst these three next year, who would you pick?
I mean, I don't know what Deshaun Watson's recovery is looking like, but if he looks good, I think I almost kind of roll with the veteran to see, one more shot of what he has left because they have so much invested in him. And then if he doesn't, then you go with, check off, okay, this one, we're answering the question, he is not it, then we'll roll with Sanders and then see, what we have from there. But I don't know. Again, I don't have a crystal ball.
It's tough.
Again, it's a tough quarterback room, but there's intrigue there, but I just don't know about any of the three of them.
Well, we always say this here in Cleveland. There won't be a lack of drama. we lead the league in drama, and I'm sure you figured that out from afar, but there will be plenty of drama in the quarterback situation next year with the Cleveland Browns. Hey, Mike, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it. Enjoy your week out at the Super Bowl, and hopefully we get a great Super Bowl 60.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.